Lovelies, this is Megan from Little Hot Tamale, and today we are going to make Halloween mini pocket letters. To create our mini pocket letters, we are going to use artist trading card pages. And you're just going to cut one of the rows off of the page, and then save the other two for another project. So for this pocket letter, I'm focusing on the paper, and I'm using the Spooky Delight collection by Little Hot Tamale. And that's actually my new collection for this year. For this one, I really wanted to use the pumpkin guy, and he's holding the little sucker, so I thought the large sucker card would be awesome to use with it. And then on the front, I used the basic square pattern. And then in the center, I'm using a fun sequin mix that I created. For the shaker pocket, I used a combination of glitter, sequins, stars, and spider confetti. To fill your pocket, you can either sew it shut, use a fuse tool, or you can use double-sided tape like Terrifically Tacky tape. I recommend gluing your front and back cards together so that they don't separate in the pocket, because sometimes the pocket sleeves are slightly bigger and then your cards move. And this way, everything looks nice and neat. For this one, I thought it'd be fun to add a large pocket on the front of the pocket letter, and it's going to overlap two of the pockets. So I'm using sticky thumb, and I recommend, if you're using a little bit wider sticky thumb tape, to cut it in half so that you can be more frugal with your tape. Then we're just going to place our pocket on the front, overlapping the first two pockets. And I really like this because you can still see the glitter in the shaker pocket. We're going to create a tag with one of the pocket letter cards, and you're just going to trim off one corner and place that corner and put it over on the other side. That way each corner is equal. And then to spice up the tag, we are going to create a handmade bow, and I have a tutorial for this, and I'll leave the link down below with the free template. Okay, and we're just going to hot glue it on. And for the center, I used glitter ribbon, and it was just a little bit too wide, so I just trimmed it down. And when you're looking for a ribbon to use on your projects, I highly recommend checking the seasonal items like the Christmas section for ribbon during their sale season. So you can just stock up on it. Okay, so we're going to create a hole reinforcement, and I just use a standard hole punch and then a circle punch that is 5/8 of an inch. And now we're just going to glue our hole reinforcement onto our tag. Now we're just going to create some fun little embellishments, and I like to call these halvesies. And I'm just using the same circle punch that we used earlier in two different types of paper, one black cardstock and one silver glitter cardstock. And you just cut the silver cardstock in half and glue it on top of the black circle. And I also punched out some other shapes like a star that's 1 inch and another circle which is 1/4 of an inch, I believe. And then for our tassel for our tag, I'm just using some fuzzy orange yarn, and I just double it up a few times. And I'm just tying it with the same yarn. And I think it needed a little bit more sparkle, so I'm using the leftover ribbon we used earlier, and I'm just going to hot glue it around where we just knotted it. Wrap it around, add a little bit more glue, and there you go. I love using tags on pocket letters because you can either wrap washi tape samples around it, talk about what you're currently doing, maybe give a fun fact. Possibilities are endless. Or you could just leave it blank and it could be a fun embellishment for your pen pal to use on one of her projects. Okay, so on the front we are going to use our halvesie that we created, and then use different shapes or sizes of other glitter embellishments or punched out images. And then I think it needed something else, so I used a black gemstone, and these are actually from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so now we're going to create a fun border for our pocket letter. And I'm just using a border strip from my 8x8 piece of paper. And I thought the candy was adorable, and it matches the candy theme on the back. If you don't want to use paper, you can always use washi tape. Now, if you're using a border strip from the 8x8 paper, I highly recommend trying to get it as close to the edge as possible, because I don't want you to accidentally cut yourself short, because I almost didn't do that, and I just barely had enough because I didn't line it up. Alright, and then just trim off the excess. I didn't have very much, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so next we're going to create a fun embellishment with crepe paper. So I'm just using orange crepe paper, and I folded it over a few times and cut a sliver off the edge. Then I just stapled the sliver of crepe paper fringe to the mini crepe paper rosette. And for the center, I'm using a star that we punched out of glitter paper earlier. Some other things that you can add to your crepe paper rosette are a few gemstones. I think that would really brighten it up a little bit. And then on the back, I'm using sticky thumb tape to adhere it. And then the leftover crepe paper, we're going to create a large rosette, and I'll leave a link to my tutorial how to create a crepe paper rosette if you don't know how to make one already. And for the center, we're going to create an easy layered embellishment. I'm just using a scallop circle that is 1 inch, and then for the center, I'm using 5/8 of a circle. Now, of course, you don't have to use punched images. You can always use an image that you cut from paper, like this Spooky Delight image. So you just kind of use what you have and make it work. And then I'm also layering another crepe paper rosette in another size. And for that size, I just cut my crepe paper in half and then made the rosette. And for the sucker pocket, I did a cluster of gemstones, 1 large gemstone and 2 smaller gemstones. Okay, so this part is very important if you want your pocket letter to fold similar to a book. The October embellishment cannot overlap the sucker section because then it won't fold correctly. All of the overlapping embellishments, like the crepe paper, the ticket, and all of the circle embellishments, have to stay on the sequins and the pumpkin guy sleeve, because on the opposite side is the tag that we created with the pocket on the opposite side. So when we're adhering our embellishments, I like to use lots of different size circles. I think it gives it a nice, fun look. I tried to use the star, but it was too overpowering with the large circle and the pumpkin guy's head. So I used a smaller glitter circle. And then on the October, I used some more gemstones to brighten it up. And then 1 more gemstone at the top. So for the sucker pocket, you can add some goodies for your pen pal, and then you can also add your note on the back side. And that's how you fold it. And I like to use the 4 3/4 by 6.5 envelope, because the mini pocket letter fits perfectly in there if it's folded. And there's just a little bit more extra room at the top for the tag with the bow. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, share it with a friend. So I hope you have an amazing day. Toodles!